And now, a native podcast with Matt and Zach. And welcome back to another episode of A Native Podcast. I am Zach, and with me, as always, is Matt. And I gotta start it off that way, as always, and say, Matt, buddy, how we doing today?
Doing well, my man. July just flew by. Like boom, it's gone.
Well, one moment it's June 29th, and I'm being, or June 30th, and I'm being helicoptered out of the Grand Canyon. The next, it's July 29th, and we're recording this podcast. It's crazy.
I was just gonna say your hat there. That's a nice hat. Pendleton Woolen Mill one too. Oh, interesting.
I got it at the Grand Canyon there's like they call it the Hopi House
Oh,
built at the
yeah.
overlook there, and they had this hat, and I like it so much. I got the Glacier one, the Yellowstone one, the Olympic one, and the Crater Lake.
Are they matching colors or they
Well,
kind of
like this is the Pendleton blanket.
right?
So Pendleton does that where they did the national parks blankets, and then they do like the native blankets with the American Indian College Fund, other things like it's
I've
funny.
seen
They're a non-native company that focuses on like a native product with these blankets,
that's another podcast in itself.
We should get someone from Pendleton on. I think that would be kind of
Right. I've
uh,
seen the coffee mugs with the same thing that you're wearing there.
yeah, I'll have to show you the other ones I got because like Olympic is it's a orca.
Oh,
Yellowstone, it's a bison, and then Old Faithful, like the geyser.
I
Uh,
do like the idea though of what like the series of that. You know what I mean?
I
Like
do.
it is a cool idea.
No, it really is. I do like Pendleton stuff too. But that's not what we're here to talk about today. We're still in the Northwest. We're talking about the Quinault Nation, the Quinault Indian tribe, the Quinault Native Americans, however you refer to them as. They're a group of people up in the northwest corner of the U.S. But before we get into them, I gotta say, Matt, buddy, what fun fact do you have for us today?
Oh, I have a goodie today. So the Quinault Nation, and I'm sure one of us will get into numbers and tribal members and all this, but they're the largest reservation in coastal Washington by land size.
Hmm.
But they make up of several tribes, and like I said, we'll get into that. But the Quinault Nation lands, I found out, include the largest temperate rainforest in the continental US.
Oh.
Um, and it says here the National Park this Service described this rainforest in this way, drenched in over 12 feet of rain a year. That's a lot. We were there in the rain time too in that area.
Camped in it. He camped in it.
We
What the
camped
heck
in
were we
it
thinking?
and it was very wet.
I remember you're like, you gotta dig down to the sand for that fire, man. And I'm just like, oh, what are we doing here?
Montana guys used to the fire dry, just going straight up and boom, bam. Like,
Get get get,
uh,
get your chain, your trailer chains. Just take those off on the road. You'll get a fire going real quick.
you could do whole tutorial videos of like camping in different environments.
Go for it. I mean, we've
Uh,
done that. I mean, I've camped in the desert. I've camped in the mountains. I've camped in the snow. I've camped in. Uh,
we both camped in a few different things, haven't we?
yes, we have 3 bags full.
The other part of this here, really quick, is also it says several record-sized tree species are located here. Various species, Douglas fir, western hemlock, and Sitka spruce trees. Um, why they call this valley to be known as the Valley of the Rainforest Giants.
What I like is you and I when we were there. I mean, we weren't in Quinault, but we drove around. We when we were up in this area, up in this part of the country, we were able to see some of these giant trees. We drove to like 2 or 3 of them, right? Like the largest western cedar and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so actually that area by Lake Quinault right there, the west side of that lake is actually the reservation. I
Okay, so we
Yeah,
drove
so
through it. Yeah.
Yeah, it was like Amanda Park or whatever. It was where the gas station hotel kind of was there. That's technically still the Quinault Reservation. So,
Okay.
but yeah, those large trees, like I get it's such a dense forest of three different kinds of trees apparently. So,
Well, some people don't like the trees that much.
no,
No, it's all is good. All is good. Did you know there's a new native apparel company?
no, I did not.
It's called Shop LS 574, named after the 574 federal tribes and the Little Shell descendancy of its founders.
Wow, that's really cool, man.
It is. It is becoming a spot to order native apparel by and for natives, working with native designers and teams to help best represent Indian country.
That's awesome, dude.
For sure. Now make sure to go pick up some native podcast swag as well as other native gear while shopping at shopls574.com.
Oh, yeah. And do not forget to use code ANP10 to save on your next order.
That's ANP10. Hey Matt, did you know there's a tribally owned net company?
No, I did not.
Not only are they tribally owned, but Blue Ribbon Nets also creates totally sustainable products. With Blue Ribbon Nets, not only are you getting quality nets, but even eco friendly ones as well.
That's awesome, dude.
It sure is indeed. Make sure to use code RUGAROO10 on your next Blue Ribbon Net order to save. Again, the code is RUGAROO10, RUGARU10.
I am definitely getting a blue ribbon net now.
Tune in every Tuesday to hear your favorite native podcast.
That's right. A Native Podcast has new episodes every week, ranging from boarding schools to Indian child welfare.
Not only that, but we have Indian country covered from Maine to California and Florida to Alaska, Hopi to Blackfeet and Choctaw to Tlingit, and all those Crees in between.
And all you other natives and non-natives out there, we want to remind you to tune in this Tuesday to A Native Podcast.
The Quinault people, the Quinault Indian Nation, that's what they refer to themselves, Quinault Indian Nation, right? And I know that's controversial. We talked about that. What do Native Americans call episode 2? Go back and check that one out. I think we might need to do a new episode on that, like like what is a Native American again? Like now that we've done this for a couple years, this podcast.
Right.
Because people still are curious about what that stuff is, and that's exactly it. Like Quinault Indian Nation. That's what they call themselves. You can go to .com and find them, and they have a nice about us, and I'm going to read that about us because let's hear it from the people, right? People of the Quinault. We are among the small number of native of Americans who walk the same beaches, paddle the same waters, and hunt the same lands as our ancestors did centuries ago. The Quinault Indian Nation consists of descendants of the Quinault, Queets, Quileute, Ho, Chehalis, Chinook, and Cowlitz people. Our ancestors lived on a major physical and cultural dividing line. Beaches to the south are white and sandy, while to the north they are rugged and cliff-lined. We are shared in the cultures of the people to the south as well as those to the north, living in family groups in long houses up and down the river. We were sustained by the land and the waters, and by the trade with neighboring tribes. Superb salmon runs, abundant sea mammals, wildlife, and forest provide substantial material and spiritual wealth to our ancestors. To this day, we fish, hunt, and gather from the same lands as our ancestors. Through millennia, plants have provided food, medicine, materials, and spiritual substance for the people. The western red cedar, the tree of life, provided logs for canoes, bark for clothing, split boards for houses, and more. We are the canoe people, the people of the cedar tree. We remember our past while employing modern principles in a unity that will bring hope to promise to the people now and in the future. And that's, I mean, I like that. You know, we are talking about the forest. That was your fun fact. You talk about the forest there. And right there, we are the people of the cedar tree. And I think that's part of when you come across a lot of these tribes and a lot of these cultures, right? What does their name boil down to? People of something, people from that place, people from the waterfall, people from the land, people, we the people, like
Right.
boils down to that, it's that connection to the place, to the area that you're from. We are the people of the Western Cedar, of the Red Cedar. This is the land in which that exists is ours, is what they're basically saying.
Well, I think of when you say the cedar, that's what all of the coastal people's homes were made from. And then the salmon was their main staple food, which we'll get more into here. But that's what I think of with the Northwest, right? Like,
Well, exactly. And I'm looking at, hey, I'm going to make a fence, for my house here. I want to put a fence up. And part of that is like, oh, I'm seeing a lot of cedar wood, right? Cedar wicks water really well. Part of the wood itself, right? So it's for that area. Same way the bison was used on the plains, right? It was the house, the food, the everything. The cedar, right? It was the fire, which fire's home. You know what I mean? Like, especially a native community. And they had literal homes built out of the trees, the longhouses. And there are some old longhouses that still exist to this day that are just ancient. Um,
yeah,
some of them are on private land, on reservation land, on tribal land that people will not show or share. There's Native American sites out there. I mean, that's kind of crazy. I was actually talking to somebody from Paradise Valley and all the rich people that own those big ass ranches in Paradise Valley, right? There's native cultural sites on
wow.
that private land that
What,
we don't have access to. And it's for the good and for the bad, you know?
yeah. Yeah, like what are they not telling us about those private landowners? You know, or even out in the wilderness, people still stumble upon things that
Well,
modern people have not found again.
when it comes to the private land stuff, then you have like the people that obviously have exploited stuff like that, turn it like Pompey's Pillar was that kind of in a way, where it was a farm, a ranch, and then it became kind of a tourist attraction, and then the government took it over. Um, you look at these other things, I don't want to stray too far, but
Right.
like the private land is the good land. Think of
Mhm.
all the rich estates and land within this Quinault region. We drove the whole rainforest. Beautiful, beautiful. Have you ever been to
Oh,
Lincoln National Park? Beautiful place. I got the hat, the Pendleton hat. We were talking about this.
mhm.
Go and you think about the private land leading up to the park and all those big houses and those big ranches. Think of the cultural sites. Think of the cultural sites on that may not be shared with some of these tribes. Some of it might be. Some of these people do, and they say, "Hey,"
Right.
and it
Yeah.
may be secretive with the tribal leadership and the elders, whoever that may be.
Yeah.
But overall, you know, it's different. But I don't want to dwell on that too much. Um, they also on their land, on their website here and their about us, they get into the self-governance. The Quinault Indian Nation is a sovereign nation with the inherent right to govern itself and deal with other tribes and governments on government-to-government basis. By laws established in 1922 and a constitution approved in 1975, form the foundations of modern-day Quinault government. Our General Council meets annually on the last Saturday in March to hold elections, accept new tribal members, allocate fishing grounds, and discuss other issues relevant to tribal operations. The Quinault Business Committee, which consists of 4 executive officers and 7 council members, is elected governed body by the Quinault Indian Nation, entrusted with the executive, business, and legislative affairs of the Quinault Indian Nation throughout the year. The Self-Governance Act of 1988 began as a demonstration project with the Bureau of Indian Affairs by providing funding for tribes to assume services otherwise provided by the federal government. In 1990, we took the challenge along with 6 other tribes to implement. This law was amended in 1991 and was authorized funding for assumption of medically care tribes for Indian health services. After 150 years of mismanagement by the federal government, it was obvious that the tribes could manage their own affairs better and make their own decisions without external interference. This is the basic underlying philosophy of self-governance. Tribal operations consist of the following areas: administration, natural resources, community services, health and social services. In addition, we have several enterprises: Quinault Pride and Seafood, Land and Timber, Quinault Beach and Resort, and Casino, Q-Mart, the Tahola Mercantile, all of which promote growth and develop potential of our reservation. It may take another century to correct the many problems created by the Indian agents we once relied upon, but now we look to the future while learning from the past. And I like that they talk about their businesses there too. And I know you wanted to talk a little bit about their businesses, Matt.
Yeah, they the Quinaults are very well actually I'm gonna pull up my map before I start talking because
That's fine.
it kind of helps me with where it is and everything.
Yeah.
So
No,
the
I like that.
good segue there. So I'm gonna go ahead and share this. This first map is the more traditional area, traditional homelands, you could say, and it shows the surrounding tribes because, as you know, Quinault is not the only one here. But as you can see, I'm noticing, and then when I show the next map, you'll see like how much it got shrunk down, right, with these areas.
Well,
Um,
when you look at this
uh,
that you're showing here, what I like is it shows a good the geography too, the way the water would come out, right? Like these big valleys, right? It's the people of these river valleys, essentially, these giant river, these big rivers that have the salmon.
no, exactly. Like, I mean, and that's why these rivers are named after these people. The Ho, they're a small group, and then the Quiutes and then Quinaults are a bit bigger, but as you said, there's seven tribes in Western Washington together. Um, and though some of them got their own, like down below here, you have Chehalis, who has members enrolled at Quinault, but it's interesting how they like break up, but yet they're still kind of part of each other. Um, but let me show this next map really quickly too. Here we go. Get out of this. So well, sorry. This one here is the modern day reservations, and this is throughout the state of Washington. But if you look at like how small they got shrunk down to when it was all theirs, right? And I mean, this is with all tribes. But when there is a trend here in this Western Washington I've seen, the lands in the national park were like they're more mountainous areas that got taken from them
Right.
in Olympic Mountains there. So they were able to acquire the coastal areas of their lands, but their mountain areas upriver, the park got all that stuff. So
Well, and not just the park, but the national
in
forest
the forests as well,
and
yeah.
the way the forest is managed in the sense of logging, etc. Right? The resource.
Yep.
That's why when you look at resources such as that, that is it's federal, right? It's not a lot of like there's private land over there, yeah, but there's a lot of federal land
Yes.
around when they took grabs like this
Right.
versus like a Colville, where Colville and Yakima got more land because that's farmland. That's where there was more private.
It's yeah, if anyone's driven over there, it's farming and high desert kind of mixed over
Yeah.
there. It's not as natural resource heavy, I guess you could say. And Yakima, kind of similar in that sense.
And it just
Yeah,
shows when you look at these tribes.
right. And
Where they
there's so many in Washington. There really is just but kind of to segue while the map's up on the enterprises is the Quinaults are also heavily involved with sustainable forestry and logging, even logging. And so they even participate in logging, which a lot of people might think is like not a traditional thing. But every tribe on the West Coast in the Northwest, they log. They sustainably log.
But
So
what else did they build? Like, I mean, bottom line, what's one wooden product that is in front of every one of these log houses that you're talking about?
totem poles.
And if you're carving totem poles and painting totem poles, you have time for leisure essentially.
Yep.
If you're carving wood and you have these guys that carve the canoes and carve the paddles that like they still use to the day. You saw the guy, he made a gun out of his paddle, his canoe paddle.
Right.
Like and a blow dart gun too. He had a regular gun. Like man, it was crazy, but like that comes from generations and generations of those smart thinking engineers. You know, we were engineers too in that way as
Right.
natives.
No, yeah, the Quinaults here, they have a lot of very successful enterprises. South of there, where this kind of bay is Ocean Shores, and
Yep.
that's where their casino resort's located. Beautiful, their sustainable logging. And then you mentioned their Pacific Pride Seafood, which is a huge right there on the coast in their town, Tahoa. They employ a lot of people, and their products are like salmon, seafood, like for the general market, right? They're native owned, and it's this wild caught seafood is their branding, right? So good stuff they're doing for sure for, you know, they have their head in the right place, I would say.
Well, they also have not just that, they have Quinault Corporate, which
Okay.
offers a vast variety of employment opportunities. So I assume that's just working for when people say they're working for the tribe. Quinault, you know what I mean?
Right.
And then they have the Wellness Center as well. And that's what they advertise as their enterprises on their website.
And now we'd like to take you to music on A Native Podcast. This week, we bring you the Quinault Nation Warrior Song. And that was Warrior Song by the Quinault Nation. Song lead performed by M. Black.
If you could pull this up, I'll start reading, but if you could pull up the Indian reservation land, that the actual Quinault Indian
Oh,
reservation,
yes. Yes, yes.
because it is land of magnificent forests, swift flowing rivers, and 23 miles of unspoiled Pacific coastline. Its boundaries enclose over 208 and 158, 208,150 acres. 84, about 85,000 hectares, whatever that means, of some of the most productive conifer forests in the U.S. Located on the southwestern corner of the Olympic Peninsula, its rain-drenched lands embrace the wealth of natural resources. Conifer forests, composed of western red cedar, western hemlock, Sitka spruce, Douglas fir, Pacific silver fir, and lodgepole pine, dominate upland sites, while extensive stands of hardwood such as red alder and Pacific cottonwood can be found in the river valleys. Roosevelt elk, black bear, black-tailed deer, bald eagle, cougar, and many other animals make these forests their home. 25,000 years ago, woolly mammoths roamed here as glaciers plowed the land, creating the rolling terrain that makes up much of the reservation today. The glaciers also created Lake Quinault, the gem of Quinault country. The lake's 12 miles of shoreline encloses 3,000 acres. As wet, mild climate began to evolve 12,000 years ago, the glaciers withdrew their high peaks of the Olympics. These conditions led to the development of forests of century-old trees towering nearly 300 feet into the sky and a land of untold forest resources.
Oh, I got the map here,
Yeah.
so let's let's pull this up. This one's a good one because it shows the parklands, wilderness area, rivers, and then the actual reservation here in the different lands, like you're saying.
Right.
Um, so this is Highway 101. There's Quinault Lake where you and I have been with the big tree right there. So there's a little community there. There's Queets up here at the north end. They had that gas station there we stopped at. And then their main town's Tahola, so you have to drive around. There's actually a cutoff road here, but to it. But yeah, you can see National Park, Olympic right here. This is all national forest surrounding that too. So
Yep.
yeah.
And then not only that, but like I look at the Ho tribe up there,
Oh, they're tiny.
just the way. But at the end of all these rivers, that's what it is. It's these
Yeah.
major valleys. That's where Tohola is, that's where Queets is, that's where the Ho tribe's sitting. You know what I mean? It's these river valleys.
Well, just
Um,
look at all the water, just all these waterways. Just it's just a land of water, you know.
oh, definitely. That is definitely the Olympic Peninsula. The mountains and the water, and the rain. But definitely wanted to pull that up.
Yeah,
As we
modern day.
Yeah, as I finish the about us here of the Quinault Indian Nation, they have the last part is planning the future. Our reservation is more than just trees and fish. It is people. People remain our most important resource. Nearly 700 people are employed by the Quinault Indian Nation and its enterprises, making it one of the largest employers in Grays Harbor County. While we live in a land of great wealth, federal government policies often impoverished our people. During the last 3 decades, the tribal government has taken the steps necessary to reestablish control over our own destiny and developed a strategic plan as a roadmap. This plan keeps all sections of the tribal government focused and heading in the same direction. Quinault Indian Nation encourages individuals to develop their own businesses and also mainstays many of its own enterprises, such as the Quinault Pride and the Quinault Beach Resort and Casino. The only way to predict the future is to create it. With the combined strength and courage and the willingness to work together, we will build a bright future for the Quinault people. And that's what they're about us. That's what they have. Currently, another fun fact, I guess, is um, their council here. They have an 11-member tribal council or business committee, which is democratically elected by the adult tribal membership at regular annual meetings. As of 2024, tribal administration is as follows. President is Guy Capoman. Vice President Noreen Underwood, Treasurer Hannah Curley, Secretary Mandy Hudson Howard, First Councilwoman, and then this goes all the way to seven, Gina James, Jim Sellers, John Bryson Jr., Tyson Johnson, Brittany Bryson, Kalia Male and Christine Mountwitch. Enrollment to the Quinault Indian tribe requires that an individual be a descendant from at least one of the nation's 7 tribes, Quinault, Queets, Quileute, Ho, Chehalis, Cowlitz, and Chinook, and meet all the other constitutionally eligible criteria for Quinault Nation membership. Persons who are direct descendants of members but have less than 1/4 blood quantum can apply to be adopted formally into the tribe.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, so
Huh.
so that's saying if you're an eighth or a ninth or an eighth or less, 16th, 32nd, you can apply to be adopted into the tribe. And that's probably like their way of saying this is uh this is how we accept those people into our community. And I mean, I don't want to get too into the debate about it. I mean, you and I have talked about this a little bit, but that's where I think when you start hitting numbers past a fourth, past an eighth, past a 16th, right? You need to show somewhat involvement in that community. And I think that's probably where they're headed with that.
That's kind of like their way of descendancy in a sense, right? Like their version of it, I
But
guess.
it is descendancy.
Yeah.
That's what they're
Yeah.
calling it. If you're a
Yeah.
descendant, if you can prove it, but
Right.
you're not enough blood, but you want to be a member, contact them. That's what they're saying.
Right.
Um, I'm gonna show that video right now that
Oh,
you
yeah.
of the tribal chairman.
Okay.
Stay tuned to that.
I'll go ahead and start out. My my birth certificate name is Guy Kapoman. My real name is Nachuktua, and I'm the president of the Quinault Indian Nation. I represent all 3,140 tribal members, and our ancestors and the future of our people as well is who I represent. This place we're at is Tohola. It was named after our hereditary chief, our head treaty signer, Chief Tohola, and his village was in this place here. Now, of course, in historic times, there was villages that went all the way up this river, and but this was kind of the hub because it's centered on the ocean and the river mouth here. So there's a lot of activity here, and we believe that there's something happening out in the ocean there that is beyond our control. The salmon runs. We can help them here, but what's happening out there is kind of beyond our physical control. The work we're doing on the upper river to restore the upper river where they go spawn is helping them. That's what that tells me, and our management of our season is helping them as well, and that's good. That's a plus. It's still nowhere near the historic number of 50, 60 years ago. Nowhere near that. Nowhere near at all. But in the silvers and the kings, I know firsthand the kings are smaller than they used to be when I was a little guy. I recall my dad lived, Larry, he made his living out here, and Dad would bring home these king salmon. My dad was only 5'10", and he'd hold up these king salmon like this, and the nose of that king salmon was right here, and the tail was on the ground. That's a big king salmon. You don't see that now. So when we talk about, we want to relocate, we want to move up on the hill, that's almost foreign thought to us, traditional folks, because our home's always been right here. I could run down to the river when I was a little boy. I was pretty fast then. I could run down to the river in a matter of minutes, be right here to go swimming or help Dad with the net or do whatever. And we move up on the hill, it's a different thought for us. But we know that, we have to protect our tribal members. Like I said, there's only 3,140 Quinaults on this earth. So, if a wave the size of what they're talking about comes up in this area, 30 feet tall, that's going to wipe this out, this whole village here. So those are things we tried to tell our story about why that's so important for us to protect our members and what's happening here with the changes in the world, from the berries to the salmon runs to even, bears and elk. There's a different way about them that's not quite like it was. And with the ocean encroaching, these houses right here, there was waves that were actually washing off of the homes. And in my 53 years in this place, I've never seen that. You put two and two together, there's something happening with the sea. The glacier on the mountains, we call that area Manitou, which is the mother of there's this river here. There's Quinault, it's the mother of her, and there's hardly anything left of it now. There's stories in our family that talk about that they would send our gifted folks who had gifts to sing and to do things like that. They would send them up into those caves in those glaciers up there for them to receive those spiritual gifts that they would then bring back to the village on how we are to function and operate as a people. And that's where that's from, and that's not there no more. So we've kind of lost that tool, if you will. Without those teachings from the story, you kind of create your own thing. I'm giving you the short version, the changer. Atala, tala, 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 kia kate, a long time ago, the beginning of time. Chithalish tamans, chatamanj, hwane, a great giver of life. He was traveling the world and he was changing things for the people who were to come. That's us. And he decided to take a break. The name Chitamanj means the high worker. Even the high worker needs a rest. He sat down on the Blue Banks, which is about 24 miles or so up the river here. And he pulled up balls of clay. He started to make things. He made a salmon kumkan. He set them into the river, king salmon, silvers, blueback, all species of salmon, and other kinds of fish. Then he made animals, elk and deer and bear, and all the animals of the land, birds. And then he thought to himself, this is such a nice place. There needs to be somebody here, somebody like me, and someone to take care of this place. So he grabbed a ball of clay and a blueback jewel-loss, and he formed it into a man. Breathed life into that man, and he set him down, and he taught him how to fish, and he taught him how to hunt, do all these things that men do. And then he thought, well, he looks kind of lonely, so I'm going to make him a mate. So he reached down and he grabbed another blueback and a ball of clay and formed it into a woman. Breathed life in her and set her down. Showed her all about the land, the grass, and the stuff for baskets and the roots to eat certain times of the year. He told her to take care of that man. And he told them, as long as you take care of this land and these fish and the animals of this place, you're always going to be here. That's what the giver of life, Chitamanj, told my ancestors at the beginning of time. And that's how we live today.
And that was the tribal chairman video speaking there for the Quinault Indian Nation, and good video, kind of good overview, what's going on, it's recent is kind of what the thought was there.
Oh, right. No, I really liked his story about as a kid how big the salmon used to be. Like his dad, like like holding one up. I'm like, yeah, the salmon used to be huge.
Well, and that's part of what I mean they're dealing with every day. That's why they're trying to manage those fisheries, you're
Right.
right, like the size, they got overfished. Same with
Mhm.
the tuna. Watching, if you ever watched Wicked Tuna, they used to catch a lot, 1,000 pounders, a lot more common.
It's insane. And then you and I have been to Quinault, the other tribe up north, and they're dealing with the same issue with the ocean rise.
Yes.
And
You want to talk about that a little bit?
yeah, just it seems like, we think of Alaska a lot, the coastal Alaska, which they're getting hit the hardest, but they're talking now coastal Washington and Louisiana Marsh, the Homa, and like some of these more
Oh.
coastal areas, dealing with that. Um,
Well, we saw at Quileute that they were moving their community center, cultural center. It was down on the water, now up above on like a high plateau because of the rising ocean waters.
yeah, yeah, where they clear cut all those trees up there and flattened it out.
Yeah.
Looked like the school even they moved up above, I think.
And not only that, but you're starting to see that with these tribal nations experiencing that. And like you joke about Alaska, I laugh. You have like Republicans don't believe in climate change. We'll go up to Alaska. You'll find
Right.
you'll find Republicans that believe because they see it, they witness it.
Yep.
But it's funny the world we live in.
It's like that if it doesn't affect me, then kind of mentality.
Oh, 100%. That's 100% what it is. Another thing I thought you would be interested in, if you go to the Quinault Indian Reservation or Indian Nation website, they have hunting and fishing regulations both on and off reservation.
Oh,
Literally everything. Uh, so Quinault River, they have Cook Creek sport regulation, Quinault commercial regulation, Quinault sport regulation, Quinault subsistence regulation.
oh,
Uh, if you want to go out on the ocean, they have the Grays Harbor commercial crab, the Grays Harbor subsistence crab, the Grays Harbor crab, the Grays Harbor commercial halibut, the commercial sablefish, crab electric monitoring, uh, everything, every little regulation and thing. And that's I forget about the ocean, man. There's so many more regulations out there.
yeah. They
Um,
they must have a fairly large fish and wildlife department for a tribe then.
I believe so. I believe that's one of the big things that they got going on there. Another fun thing that I saw that they have to do right there with you with the fishing department, hunting fishing department. They have guided fishing. Um, you can call for more information. They have the Lake Quinault open for trout. You have to obtain a tribal fishing permit and regulations near the outlets near Lake Quinault. They have the Quinault Cultural Center, the Chief to Holidays.
Oh,
Uh,
cool.
it's in the first week of July. Parade, baseball, canoe races, salmon bake, fireworks, and more. And that's commemoration of the 1855 treaty. They have the Quinault National Fish Hatchery. They have the resort and casino. They have Kalok, which is Olympic National Park.
Oh, yep.
Uh,
Yep.
and then Mo Clips as well as the Pacific Beach. So,
Yeah, that Tahoe Days sounds like their version of Fourth of July if it's that weekend.
oh, I bet well, it's when they're
The date of their uh tree stuff.
exactly.
I had a little tidbit here on just
Yeah,
a few numbers here. You mentioned some things about the land. It says here today there are 3,083 citizens of the Quinault Nation. The reservation has a population of 1,400, includes Lake Quinault, the towns of Amanda Park, Queets, Quinault Village, and Tahoe as their main headquarters that coast there.
nice.
Um,
Yeah. I
yeah.
have a couple fun facts and then I'll get into a story. And that should be that with Quinault. First off is I want to highlight the ceremonies. They have ceremonies. Talk about native ceremonies, right? And here's a good one. In the past, the Quinault held a naming ceremony after the year of birth. They also held a feast following the 5 month period of seclusion following a girl's first cycle. Chiefs held potlatches, which were usually 3-day affairs involving feasting, dancing, and giving away of gifts. Um, Death and afterlife. In the past, Quinault buried their dead in a canoe or box raised on stilts. They removed the corpse from a hole in the wall of the or roof of the house. A shaman then exorcised the ghost, a sickness from the house. Personal property such as blankets, utensils, bows, and arrows were broken and placed alongside of a grave. Adult relatives cut their hair in mourning to be avoid using deceased person name for a year. If the owners of a house died, the house was torn down and rebuilt. A short while after a funeral, kinsmen held a minor potlatch. Reburial was an option for wealthy families. The dead carried on in the afterworld, much like the living, hunting, fishing, having children, fighting wars, etc. Um, yeah. And then you have anything real last to add before I'll get into this story?
Yeah, and your story's more along the ceremonial angle, correct?
Kinda. It's a legend of the dog husband.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I kind of this was kind of what I had in regards to the salmon, a little tidbit, and thought I would end with this. It's a short here part here. Um, so the sockeye salmon native to the Quinault River are, according to the Wild Salmon Center, one of 7 genetically distinct populations of sockeye in the Pacific Northwest. Quinault River sockeye, also known as bluebacks, return from the ocean and spend 10 months in Lake Quinault prior to moving up to spawn in the upper Quinault River. While in the lake, the bluebacks subsist on their fat reserves. Uh, Ed Johnstone, the Quinault fisheries manager, says salmon to the Quinault people is life. And we have a particular species of salmon that's a sockeye. We call it the blueback. He says that is the cornerstone of who we are as Quinault people.
I love,
Um,
I
yeah.
like No, that's good. And that's something that I mean the people of the Northwest, salmon, salmon.
As we've talked about with these PNW, right? Like, or the plains, it's like, okay, the bison's gonna be what mentioned in like 10 different ways.
Exactly. And that's what it is. It's a way of life. It's such a part of the culture.
Yeah.
Um, all right. So this story is called The Dog Husband. This version of the legend comes from Sith Thompson's 1929 collection Tales of the North American Indian. A long time ago, there lived a young girl who had a dog in which she was very fond. She took the dog with her whenever she went, and at night it was custom common that at that time with young girls, the dog slept at the foot of the bed. Every night he would change into human form and lie with the girl, and in morning before it was light, turn back into his dog shape. So no one knew anything about it. After the time she became pregnant, and when her parents found out and knew that the dog was the cause, they were greatly ashamed. Calling the people together, they tore down the house and put out all the fires and moved away from the place, leaving the girl to die. But Crow had pity on her. Taking some coals, she placed them between 2 small clam shells. She told the girl secretly that after a time she would hear a crackling and go to the go-to spot and she would find fire. So the girl was left alone. For the people had gone a long way across the water, she sat for a long time listening to the crackling. And when she finally heard it, she she went to the place and found the fire as the crow had said. Not long after, she gave birth to 5 dog pups. But as her father had killed the dog, her lover, she had to look after them by herself. And the only way she could live and care for them was to gather clams and other shellfish on the beach. There were 4 male pups and 1 female, and with the care their mother gave them, they grew fast. Soon she noticed that whenever she went out, she heard a noise of singing and dancing, which seemed to come from the house, and she wondered greatly. 4 times she heard the noise and wondered. When and on going out again, she heard it for a 5th time. She took her clam digger and stuck it in the sand. She put her clothes on to make it look as if she were busy gathering clams. Then she stole back by a roundabout way and creeping close to the house, peeped through a crack to see what the noise might be. There she saw four boys dancing and singing. A little girl was watching the place where the mother was supposed to be digging clams. The mother waited a moment and watched. Then, coming in, she caught them in human form and scolded them, saying that they ought to have had that form in the first place, for on their account she had been brought to shame before the people. At this, the children sat down and were ashamed. The mother tore down the dog blankets which were hanging about and threw them into the fire. So they remained in human form after this. As and as soon as they were old enough, she made little bows and arrows for the boys and taught them how to shoot birds, beginning with the wren and working up to the largest. She then taught them to make larger bows and arrows and how to shoot fur animals and larger game up to the elk. She made them bathe every day to get tanimus for catching whales. After that, they hunted hair seal to make floats out of its skin, and a mother made harpoons for them of elk bone and lines of twisted sinews and cedar. At the end of the line, she fattened the sealskin floats. And when everything was ready, the boys went out whaling and were very successful and brought in so many whales that the whole beach stank with them. Now, Crotus noticed one day from far across the water a great smoke rising for where the old village had stood. And at night she came over secretly to see what was all up. And she neared the beach. She smelled the dead whales, and when she came up, she saw the carcasses lying about. There were so many of them that they had not been cut up. When she reached the house, she found the children grown up, and they welcomed her and gave her food, all that she could eat. But gave her nothing to take back, telling her to come again if she wanted more. When Crow started back, the girl told her that when she reached home, she was to weep so that the people would believe they were dead. But Crow, on getting home, instead of doing what she was told, described how the beach was covered with seagulls feeding on the whales that had been killed by the boys. Now, Crow had brought with her secretly a piece of whale meat for her children. After putting it out in the light, she fed it to them, and and one of them ate it so fast that she choked and coughed a piece of the meat out on the ground. And some of the people saw it and believed what Crow told them, as they had not done before. Then the people talked it over and decided to go back, and they loaded their canoes and moved back to the old village. And the boys became the chiefs of the village and always kept the people supplied with whales. And I believe that is.
That's a pretty cool story.
Yeah.
The dog thing is interesting. Like I could see that other tribes making jokes about the like the dog part of that.
Right. But I think the story of it, when you look at like the native lore, the legend is the fact that we lived in harmony with these animals, with these people. You look at Crow, Crow's supposed to take, like the whale will always be there for Crow.
Right.
They're a scavenger bird.
Mhm.
But regardless, he'll still take a little bit home, even though he's scavenging. He knows where he can come back and find it. He knows that whale's going to be there for a few more days.
Right.
But instead, he's still going to bring some home and help spread the news. Um, so I don't know if that's what that's about either. Spread the news.
Spread the news.
No, that's kind of it. That's what we have for you today. Another Indian Nation down, 574 to go. No. But
No, yeah, the Quinaults, they been through that area a few times. It's a cool corner of Washington in the sense of like it's pretty remote for a coastal area, I would argue too. Um,
I think that's why you don't see a lot of like Seattle's, yeah, it's a coastal town in a sense, but it's not, because of how that land is.
right.
And it's colder. It's not beaches like you think when you think of the coast.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
any final words, Matt?
Um, yeah, just to the viewers, spend some time, go to if you're in the area, go to Olympic National Park. The Hoh Rainforest is right there. Town of Aberdeen and Ocean Shores just south of the Quinaults, not too far. So, there's a lot to see. There's a lot of cool stuff there in that area. You could spend, I mean, Olympics like a 3 day to really do the whole thing in that peninsula. It takes a while. Windy road,
Lot to do.
a lot to do and see. And go to your Pacific Pride seafood. Go to their Tahola days. Go check out that coastal culture. It's very unique and cool in its own way.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you in the sense of like definitely get out there and explore this area, explore the Pacific Northwest. And we joke about it, Siletz and Grand Ronde in Oregon, just because like we kind of were around that for a little bit, but
Right.
just the back and forth, the commonalities of those two tribes, but yet there's differences too, and that's what made them different. That's those valleys made them different. Same with all these tribes in Washington. So each tribe, you may see similarities, but they have their differences. They have their different ceremonies, etc. And it worked that experience. And then even the salmon, like you said, I mean, these cultures, do a little more research on that. I think we should get, we did the bison episode. We should do a salmon episode. So the people are asking for it, but
Yeah.
not today, because today was Quinault. And until next time, bye-bye.
I know bottoms, I know chiefs, I know riders from the east. I know educated natives down to picket in the streets. Middle fingers to police, fuck you, we come in peace. I know red-skinned hippies that be giving me the creeps. I know beauty, I know beach, I know savages and freaks. And I know a couple cousins even bougier than me. No, ain't elite, bougie native, yes indeed. Art exhibit to the club, and we roll it 20 deep. Copper on my neck, gold on my ring. Feather on my hat, skin stitched chin. 100 warriors on my back, they be drumming when I sing. Man, there ain't no way around it.
A Native Podcast is produced by G&G Advertising and Quartz Lake Productions.